Greetings and welcome to your weekly briefing with Jared Betts. We're talking about GBS Advanced English using Jazz English 1. This is going to be talking about Unit 5, talking about movies today. Movies are a great place to go spend time with your friends, your family, or significant others. There's a lot of different types of movies out there and different ways to think about it. Now, Korean movie theaters and American movie theaters are different, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But let's first talk about what types of movies there are. There are 4 main types of movies. The first type is drama. Drama is very easy to follow, and it doesn't matter what language you speak. Drama is driven by the characters' emotions and what the situations they're in. Drama tends to be heavily dialogue-based movies, meaning that you have to understand what they're saying to understand the story. Let's move on. Movies that require less of understanding what they say. We're talking about action movies. Action movies are based mostly on using physical action and activities to drive the movie's story. This can be a lot of fun, and movies like Fast and the Furious or the Transformers series, both of these are heavily driven by the action and not so much on the dialogue that's in the movie. We move on to the next type, which is comedy. Now, comedy movies are designed to make you laugh and have a good time. So the main purpose of a comedy is just to make you laugh. The last one are thrillers. Now, thrillers are designed to make you jump or think. Now, these are the 4 main types of movies, but there are other types of movies. Science fiction, fantasy, adventure, romance, many different types. But most of them can be classified into one of these 4 types of movies. Now, I know you're waiting. Wait, there's only 4 types? Actually, there's 5. There's one more that we want to talk about, and that's documentaries. A documentary means something that is based on reality. What you see in the movie is real or it is based on reality. This is usually nonfiction, and it can be animals, it can be nature, science, but whatever is in there usually is based on fact. The other 4 types can be based on fiction. So you have 2 main types, fiction and nonfiction. Then you get to the different types underneath. But wait a minute, I haven't talked about animation. Well, you see, animation is not really a movie type. Animation is a way of telling a movie. And there are really 2 main ways to tell a movie. You have live action, which involves real actors talking to the screen and acting. You also have animation. Animation and animated movies are not always designed for children. Let me say that again. Animated movies are not always designed for children. There are many different types of animated movies that are written for adults. In the 1980s, there was the Heavy Metal series, which was written mostly for an adult audience. It's a horror movie, so if you want to see a horror animated movie, I recommend it. So let's move on. Let's talk about going to the actual movie theater. In Korea, movie theaters are very nice, they're very well kept, and when you go there, you actually choose which seat you want to sit in at the box office. And the box office is where you buy your tickets. In America and many other countries, you don't actually choose the seat that you're going to sit in until you walk into the theater. So you'll see a lot of people who go to see movies in America, they want to be at the front of the line, to get into the theater so they can pick the best seats. Now, in Korea, when you go to the movie theater, popcorn and refreshments are reasonably priced. Also, the tickets are reasonably priced. A couple can go to the movie theater and see a movie and have drinks for around 20,000 won. In America right now, that would buy you the tickets. It's very expensive to go see the movies now in America. In America, we don't have many DVD rooms or seeing rooms to go and entertain ourselves. We usually go to the we go to a store and rent a movie, and then bring it back home and watch it at our own home. But this is becoming less and less common. With the internet, we're now seeing many places that do things like Netflix, where you rent the movie on the internet, or you rent a DVD which gets sent right to your house. So you don't have to actually go to the store anymore. Another big difference that you'll see between American movie theaters, or American movies and Korean movies, is the actors. The actors in American movies tend to be very well paid, and they only act in movies. Now, this is not saying that they don't act on television, but usually the progression is from television to movies. Although TV shows like CSI and other shows that are very popular now, actors from movies are moving down to the TV shows for fun and because the shows are more interesting. And now, I want to go ahead and we're going to switch off. You're going to watch, and I'm going to talk to you about the rating system in America. When you go to see a movie that is rated G, you're usually going to find a movie that is appropriate for anyone. You can take children to it. They'll understand the story. Most Disney movies are rated G. That means the content is acceptable for all children. There's no graphic violence. There's no extreme language. It is okay to take for just about anybody. A PG movie is very similar to a G movie in that it's acceptable for just about everybody to go visit. A PG movie might have things that young children may not understand, and parents will need to explain the story to the children. There's usually no violence and very rarely any foul language. Occasionally there will be one word or maybe two words to make it into a picture, but parental guidance, PG, means that it's acceptable for just about everybody with a little bit of help from the parent. We move to a PG-13. Now PG-13 still requires parental guidance, but children under the age of 13 Western, not Korean, 13 Western, probably will not understand the story. This is also where brief nudity and mild language will get introduced into the story. Sometimes there will be parts of the story that are a little bit more extreme, but there's nothing that children won't be able to understand. But it will require children under the age of 13 may not have studied it or been exposed to the content. Now we get to movies that are designed for adults. A movie that is rated R is designed for adults and mature audiences. The language is what people usually speak, and there are situations and content that they will understand. Here you'll get foul language, violence, you'll also get sexual content, but the sexual content is very mild. Nudity is fine, but in a restricted movie, children are allowed to see it, but only with parental consent. This means the parent has to take them to see the movie and agree to show them this material. A child under the age of 17 probably will not understand all of the content. They may not understand all the language or the situations, but with a parental, they can watch the movie. It's not encouraged, though. Now we get to one of the two really extreme ratings, and that's NC-17. NC-17 stands for no children at all under the age of 17. This means that even if a parent or guardian wishes to take a child to see this movie, unless they are at 17 years of age, they cannot watch this movie. This does not mean it's anything more violent or more graphic than a rated R movie. It just means that the content or the material is inappropriate for children under the age of 17. Now we get to the last of the ratings, and this is the X rating. Now, X stands for extreme. Extreme does not always mean that this is a pornographic movie or an Eros film. the Eros industry is classified as an X-rated film, but there are other films that have been classified as X that were rated that before the NC-17 was introduced. Most notably, A Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick was an X-rated movie, not because it has strong sexual content, but because it is extreme in its depiction of violence and torture. So an X-rated movie does not necessarily mean that it's going to be an eros or erotic film, but that is where the X has been used in recent years. Okay, so those are the main ways of telling what the content of the movie is based on its rating. The rating tells you a little bit about what the movie is possibly going to be like. So if you see a movie that's rated PG-13 and it's an animated movie, it's probably going to be more designed for adults than for children. Now, as a college student, you won't have to worry about that much now, but as you become a parent or graduate later on and you have children, that'll tell you more information. Let's talk about a couple things that are in the book that are important. First one is talking about where your favorite movie takes place. When a movie is talking about where it takes place, it's not asking where did you see the movie. No, it's asking where is the movie story located. So if we're talking about the movie of Titanic, Titanic takes place in the middle of the North Atlantic, and it took place when in 1914, in the early 1900s. When we talk about the time span that a movie covers, we're not asking how long the movie was. Time span is asking you to tell how long does the movie take place in movie time. At the beginning of the book of this chapter, it talks about two movies, Gone with the Wind and Casablanca. These are both really good classic American movies, and I highly recommend that you watch them. If you watch Gone with the Wind, make sure you have about 4 hours of time and good Korean subtitles to watch the story. The story of Gone with the Wind takes place over a woman's lifetime, and it takes her from when she's a young woman before the Civil War, through the American Civil War, and into the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. And it shows all the changes in her life. In Casablanca takes place over a short time in North Africa during World War II. These are the time period. This is the time span that it takes place. Now, the time period is when the movie takes place. So if we're talking about the Lee Sun-shin movie that came out in 2014, it takes place during some of the battles between Japan and Korea. This is the time period. This is when the movie took place. The time span, how long is actually in the movie. That's movie time. Not how long you watch the movie, but movie time. Last thing I want to talk about is seeing people in person. Movie theaters, movie actors. Sometimes you'll see movie actors and famous people in real life. When you see them, be respectful. Go up and say hello to them. But don't try to be the annoying fan. Hi, can I take a picture? Be respectful to them. This is about movies, and I'll see you in class. Have a good day.